Hey folks, welcome back to Trusty Number Gaming for another episode of The Last Caretaker. This one's going to be kind of like tips and tricks of things I've learned. This may not encompass everything, but just a few things from going through the game. So you can see we have a shark right there, but we also have one right there. It's pretty unusual to see them that close very many times, but I have run into it before. I don't know how many grids one shark covers, so for example when we look at the map, you see each box is a little grid with a number that corresponds to your longitude and latitude. As you can see on the bottom right, the numbers change. So I don't know one shark how many boxes it covers, but I have run into this before where I would have one shark here that I'd kill, look around, jumped in the water, salvaged it, and when I jumped back up on the boat, there was another shark on the other side of the boat trying to get to me. So if you're going to kill the sharks, which I recommend, I kill all of them. They got good tech on them. That's good materials. Double check and make sure that it's not alone. It doesn't have another one. The next thing is going to be sea mines. These things are all over the place. Some people try to navigate through them. I personally like to destroy each one. Now, the starting facility we started at was the number 37 is right there. That's where you first launch the game from. So there's no way in hell I left all these mines here, so I don't know. When I went to pull up to this facility, they all of a sudden popped up out of the water. And I've already cleared this facility, but right now I'm going back through to each place and re-clearing it. Multitude of reasons. One is I'm finding stuff that I missed when I first started, things I didn't know to look for, spots to look for, hidden spots. So I'm finding hidden spots that I missed and didn't know were there. Finding stuff that just somehow I missed overall when I was clearing it that I'm not sure how I did, but like a guitar just sitting on the walkway. And then next is even buildings that I've cleared, I'm finding stuff in on spots that I know I've cleared. So for example, on the NDNS nodes, I'll go inside, the door's open, because I left it open showing I cleared it, and there was a new roller ball on top of it. There's no way I could have got into the NDS facility with the roller ball sitting on top of it. It would have killed me, or tried to kill me. So go back and recheck things. Stuff is somehow just showing up, like hidden spots. There was a hidden spot that didn't have anything in it but a tire. No clue. I wouldn't have left it in there. I would have cleared it out. But just something to think about. So check your sharks. The mines, I'm going to destroy all these. And I've been finding that some are popping up around places that I've previously cleared just at random. Go back and check all your facilities when you first started. Probably like me, there are things that you missed, you didn't know to look for. Multiple facilities I've run across have had multiple hidden spots that somehow I just missed. I thought, well, maybe something this side would only have one hidden spot, and I'm finding out that some of them have multiple. Also, checking under the water. I have found quite a few spots underwater that somehow I missed the first time, or I didn't. At the time, I wasn't able to go deep enough to check some of the spots. There's a couple of them that even with your pressure maxed out, so under your enhancers, I've got the pressure maxed out, that you still have to go past this depth to where it starts to cause you damage and reduce your energy to get to some of these spots under some of the facilities. Next would be max out your pressure, because like I say, there's going to be quite a few spots underwater you're going to have to get to, and even with it maxed out, you're still going to have some damage that you're going to get. I don't ever get in the water at night because of the leeches that are in there. I do have a video showing how I like to fish for those leeches and collect the bio. But at night, I don't ever get in the water. Once you kill a shark, you roughly have about 5 minutes is the timer. I killed the shark, set the timer, and about 5 minutes later, give or take, another shark popped up. So just keep that in mind as well. On the map, each place that I check, I click on it like this, so it turns it yellow and it'll show up on the map, when you're looking out over the water. So it'll show, but sometimes it hides other places, but that allows me to know that I've already cleared that place yet again. So I went through the map and removed all the stuff that I had previously cleared, and as I checked each place, I clicked on it so it would turn up yellow as a reminder for me, getting older, that I've already cleared that spot. That allows you to use your marker separately, and then once you clear it, I just click on it and it shows that I've cleared that facility. These ships drink diesel like a frat boy trying to get into his first fraternity. So make sure you set up your refinery, and when you first start, be careful about using your diesel, because this thing will drink some diesel to get across this map. Alright folks, we've come back to where we started, which is Sanctuary Dock 37, where it all began. Originally when I left this facility, I took everything out of it. If it wasn't bolted down, or if it allowed me to scrap it, I scrapped it. But since then, I've come back here. As I said earlier, I'm going back through and checking all the facilities I had recently checked. I cleared the map, and I'm slowly but surely working my way through to check all this stuff that I'd already previously checked, because I'm finding stuff. And one of the things that happened is eventually you'll go to Sanctuary Dock 12, which will be just like this facility, and there'll be a mission there for you to complete. Well, there I found a way onto the roof of these facilities, which is right up there above where the lights are. And those are actually walkways. So when I came back here, I thought, well, surely there's something else here too. And there was. You find your way to the top of these walkways, and there was some memorabilia and robots and things like that up there. And then I'm just going back through and going through all the cubby holes, but occasionally come to one of these docks, park your boat, shut the door so that you don't have to worry about the sharks or the leeches, especially at night. And then check the bottom of your boat. For some reason, stuff likes to stick to the bottom of your boat, like tires and other things like that can cause glitches and problems. Another thing I stopped doing was using these mooring lines. I may use them to pull me close to the dock and then drop my anchors, but then I release them. Seems to be some glitches with the mooring lines, especially if you leave your boat moored and then log out of the game. The next thing is, so when I came back here, I had to set power back up because I had taken everything away from here, and I wanted to check the building and didn't want to constantly use my flashlight. So whatever facility you go to that you need a power, set you up a battery. Once you can build this battery and then run your windmills and your solar panels to it, and then it to the facility that you're powering. The building will only use the amount of power it needs to run it, and so by having the battery there, you're giving yourself a backup. And it seems to where if you use a battery, you don't have to build as many windmills and solar panels and things like that. So you can see up here, I've got 3 wind turbines and a solar panel, and I could run the building by itself with just 2 of these smaller turbines, cyclones they call them, but when I went to close the door, it wouldn't let me close the door.
When I go to leave this facility, when I'm pretty sure I've checked everything that I can think of, I will probably leave this stuff here, the battery and the solar panels. I'm not hurting for supplies, and there's a good chance I may want to come back here and use this dock because after you start, your ship design is going to change a bunch. I've already changed this layout probably 3, 4 times. And as you progress and have access to more things like oil rigs, oil tankers, and you find the refinery to make diesel, you're going to change a lot of the layout of your ship. You can see I have diesel back here. I have diesel stored in here. And then I have petro tanks in here. The next thing would be to organize your boxes. You don't have to do it just like this, but I find that if you organize the stuff together, so for example, we have gold, we have iron, I left an extra box, we have rubber over here, we have this polyurethane, uh, we have the silicone, and then plastics, and copper, and glass, and fabric, and titanium goes in here, aluminum, batteries down there, and this is all the stuff for the weapons. But I find it so much easier by having all this stuff put together. Inevitably, I did 6 boxes for copper, and it still wasn't enough, so I ended up having to put copper out here as well. And then I left extra boxes on both sides. All this stuff up here is the bio that you collect. And it makes it so much nicer when you pull stuff out of here, color code it to what it goes to, and you can put it up a lot faster. And this also allows me to see how much of the stuff I have. So for glass, I can see how much I have, and copper, I can see how much I have. Plastic, I can see how much I have. And when you have to use your resources, it's kind of nice to know how much you have before you start spending those resources on something, regardless of what it is. Now, when you use the replicator, here's what I'm calling it. Is that what they're calling it? Yeah, replicator. It's going to pull from whatever box it wants. And so routinely, you have to come back and make sure the boxes are topped off. You may fill these copper boxes out here off and come in here and realize it's been pulling from some of these boxes in here. Sorry for the lag right now. I logged all the way out, exited the desktop, and for some reason the game's just really laggy right now. The next thing I would say is also set up batteries on your ship. As you can see right now, when you come into these hangars, obviously your wind turbines and your solar panels are not going to work. So your ship is using power to power these lights and this stuff up into the cabin there, the wheelhouse. And so if you come in here and you're not connected to the building's power that you've set up, eventually you're going to drain your ship's battery. So you don't have to have this many batteries. I set these up for when I go to the Exodus launch site, but this way I have plenty of reserve power here. I can plug my ship into them. As you can see, we've been here for a while, and that's about all the power we've used so far. So it'll help to, and then when we pull out, all the stuff I have set up, the wind turbines, the solar panels, will start recharging the batteries in there. And I may go over some of this stuff more than once, and it's not intentional. I did this video in sections so I could show different parts of what I was trying to talk about instead of doing the whole video from inside of a ship hangar. Stuff you have up on the roof. As you can see, we have these wind turbines up on the roof. When we back out, you'll see they'll actually phase through that door. It won't knock them off, thankfully. See, it looks like they would be knocked off, but they actually just phase through the door. And then for these facilities, like I say, check the outside of them very well. You can see an opening up there at the top. You have to get to it from that walkway there. And then there's other openings on the outside of the building for this facility and the other one that you can reach. But you have to have the boat to get to them. And so as you're going around these facilities, just kind of check the outside of the buildings for any openings that you can see. Some of them will be down toward the water line, some of them will be underwater. But I have found things that I missed by going by a facility I'd already been to. And as I pass it like this, just look over and I'd be like, oh man, there's an opening right there I missed. And that's helped me find certain things. So like I say, make sure you save frequently. If you change locations or you change something on the ship, or if you're at a facility where you're building stuff, make sure you save frequently. So next thing would be to make sure to check these buoys. So the shark and the angels give you good supplies. Sharks are pretty easy to kill. Those angels can be kind of a booger sometimes, depending on which version they are. They have different versions of them. But these buoys have good loot inside of them. And it's good stuff. Especially when you're in desperate need of resources. It's quick and easy. I always like to anchor down. The thing to remember with these is that they sink. Oh shit, I jumped in the water. Let me up, please, thank you. So when you open this hatch, it's only going to give you a few seconds and then this thing will start sinking. So that one had titanium in it. And sometimes it drops you in the water. So as you can see, they sink pretty quick. But I have had days where I did nothing but kill sharks and check buoys. Within a few minutes, another buoy will pop up. It won't be in the same location, but it'll generally be within eyesight of either side of your boat. And you can see on that one we got a battery, some titanium, aluminum, and all good loot that we need. So make sure to check those. Like I say, they'll pop back up fairly quickly within a few minutes, and generally it'll be within eyesight. If you don't see it, then move your boat a little bit. It may be coming up underneath your boat. So these, eventually you get to where you make these large batteries. I like those because they actually do fill up the robot pretty quickly. These other ones, I generally will let them build up, and then I'll scrap them and get the materials from them and build larger batteries. So another thing that'll help is also send your net out. The max it'll hold is 15 kilograms. Now when you bring it up, it's generally going to breathe the exact same thing every time, but it's free loot and you get bio. So no reason not to have it out and about. Alright, so this is one of the facilities I'm talking about. It's really high up off the water. And when we get closer, you're going to see that that platform is about the same level as these turbines. And the seas here get pretty rough. And the first time I was here, I parked with the back of the boat closer to that ladder. And when I went to leave, a storm picked up. And I started to go forward, and the wave just pushed me into the building. Destroyed all the turbines on this side, and then it pulled the back of the boat around and hit these diesel tanks, and I had a water tank and some other stuff back there, and I ended up having to redo all that stuff. So it can be kind of a pain in the butt. So you got to be careful with these types of facilities. Next thing is you can carry a lot of weight and be overweight, as you can see in the middle bottom, the flashing weight sign showing I'm way overweight. But you just got to make sure that you're not carrying so much that you can't make the jump back to your ship. Just wanted to include this in the video. I was pulling up to this node to check it out with the rough seas. I was having trouble getting the boat positioned. It kept trying to push me up under and push the wind turbines over to the top. The only way up is either to jump across or try to hit the ladder, but the ladder doesn't reach the water, so if you land in the water you got to get back to the ship. But when I was going to pull up to this node, it was dark and all I could see were the shark fins. I thought, man, there's a lot of sharks over there for some reason. And when I pulled up, they were already dead, just floating here. And then there's another swimming around back over here. So that's some things that you'll run into sometimes that, like I said, there's going to be things that don't make any sense. And things floating, and there's going to be some glitching. But this is the first time I've ever pulled up somewhere and there were just 3 dead sharks floating here in the water. So another tip I would tell you is anchors glitch quite a bit. So when you pull up to a facility, always make sure that light is highlighted, because even if you hear the anchor sounds, sometimes it'll show 1 anchor down and 1 anchor up, and you won't actually be anchored. So especially if you're doing it from this third-person view, make sure that before you leave, that light is highlighted so that your anchors are down. The next thing I would say is set up fuel at some of these fuel outposts. So if you look at the map, swing out here a little bit. So I have set up fuel here. I've set up fuel at this location here. And then we have the oil refinery up here for this section. If you don't set up diesel and petroleum, or at least diesel at these 2 locations, as you're driving around the map, and of course this is after you've visited the refinery up here, then every time you need fuel, you'll have to come all the way up here to the North 40 to get diesel. And that alone is going to burn a ton of fuel. Like I said earlier, this ship drinks fuel like a frat boy trying to get into his first fraternity. These 6 tanks here are the main tanks I use to drive the boat around the map. And then I have an additional 4 or more down here. Actually I have more down here that I use as backup if I absolutely have to. But if you burn through all of these tanks and then go to get fuel, it takes a long time to fill these up. That means you're going to be sitting there quite a long time. So set you up a place to get fuel at these fuel outposts, however you want to set it up. Generally, because I use the 6 diesel tanks, I try to set up at least 6 diesel tanks or close to it. Here I can run this to use bio to fill diesel up if I absolutely have to, but then I also have the distillation tower, which produces diesel and petroleum and uses oil. And I've got these oil tanks here, and I carry oil tanks on the ship, which you get from the refinery. And that'll make life a little bit easier. Now it does take some materials to set all this up, and you're going to have to leave power here. And when you come back, generally those wind turbines are going to have to be fixed everywhere you leave power. But it'll help you out in the long run by having somewhere that you don't have to go all the way up to the refinery to get diesel. So just something to think about as you go further along in the game. The next thing I would say is when you come to a facility, especially one like this, make sure that you don't shred everything you're going to need. Immediately start shredding everything and then realize you need it to get up to get to something. Because then you're going to have to start building stuff to get up there just so you can grab one thing or whatever else may be in there. So be careful at the facilities you go to, especially if you go up into one of these rooms and there's a bunch of boxes for no reason. Start looking around, looking up, because they may have put them in there because you're supposed to stack them to get on top of them. And a facility like this is a prime example of you may need a lot of the stuff that's in here. So before you shred it, make sure you don't need it. And so the last tip I would say is when your boat is underway, especially with the diesel and electric engine on, and you're doing between 43 and 50 kmh, don't leave the wheelhouse, which is basically where we're at up your steering. It's called the wheelhouse. One is, since I've been going back around and redoing, checking everything, I've found about 15 mines that somehow I missed the first time. And one mine will destroy your boat. Next is, these vehicles, because you have that dot there as your waypoint, doesn't track true, which means your waves hit your boat will throw it off course. It won't stay true to that point of origin. And then lastly, you'd be surprised how easy it is to fall off this boat. And at this speed, there's no way you'll catch it before something gets you. You'll never catch up to it, one. And two, you'll never swim that distance, which means you're basically going to have to go back and load the last save point you have wherever that's at. And that's why saving often also comes in handy. So once the boat's underway like this, if you have to go check something or think of something, I would stop the boat and make sure it is stopped, because there have been mines that seem like they just popped up. And again, I could have missed all 15 of those just because of different routes and whatever, but I would say don't leave the wheelhouse when you're under power. Alright folks, that's going to wrap up this video and tips and ideas, tricks if you will. Hopefully there's something in there that you found useful and that you can use. There's be some people that'll be like, I already knew all that. That's fine, but maybe there's some that you didn't, or you're just starting out. Be some ideas, and I don't think there are really any spoilers in there that would run it, but there are quite a few people that have done these types of videos, and I like to watch the ones that don't give any spoilers, because you never know, there may be something in there that you can learn that'll definitely benefit you. Hopefully in this one you found something useful that you can use. We appreciate you watching. Thanks to all those that are liking, coming, subscribing, and sharing. We greatly appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.